Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I have something a little bit interesting. Um, if you had seen a video I posted about, it's probably been about a week now that you guys will you guys have seen it. It was called Whispers in the Fog, and it was also by Sir Moose. This is, it looks to be a companion type puzzle. Because the Whispers in the Fog, we had just up here, we had a German whisper line that was setting everything off. Now we're changing over to a little something different. So I thought this would be a great little follow-up to that video, because this one, I really enjoyed that Sudoku and hope you guys did as well. But this one looks like it's going to have slightly different logic in terms of starting things off, which is probably going to propagate completely different than the other one did. But I always like to kind of make videos on Sudokus that look at different ways of using the same general concept. So, and once again, Fog of War, as I'm sure you all know, is one of my favorite types of Sudoku constraints. So, without blabbing on any further as I fix my mic just how I want it, let's get into Whispers in the Mist by Sir Moose. Like I said, it's a spiritual heir maybe to Whispers in the Fog. So what do we have here? We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So every row, every column, and every 3x3 box must contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. Now, some of the grid is covered by fog. Placing correct digits will clear the surrounding fog. As you all know, if I put a digit here, that's correct. Every digit, all the spaces around it, including that digit, will clear of this fog, and then it will perhaps reveal new clues where we can continue moving on into the puzzle. Now we've got Kropki dots, so we've got digits separated by a black dots, are in a 1-to-2 ratio. Not all dots are given. So that means on these sets of black dots, there'll probably be many more in here somewhere. We'll find them eventually. It means that whatever this digit is, this digit must be in a 1-to-2 ratio with it. And that just means that whatever this digit is, this one has to be either half or double of that digit. Same applies for these. Now, the other constraint we have here is Dutch Whispers lines, which is slightly different than German Whispers lines. So in Dutch Whisper lines, it says digits along line must differ by at least 4. So that's a little bit less of a constraint as a German Whispers, because German Whispers has to be different by at least 5. So those are the rules. Now let's get into this one, and I'm guaranteeing it. It's going to be good. I just know. I don't usually give guarantees, but I'm pretty sure this one's going to be good too, because I know the first one was excellent, and there might even be more coming. There might be more that I've missed in the past by Sir Moose that have been using this same general idea to get kind of started into the puzzle. I don't quite know. I'll have to look that up. And if there are, I'd be happy to try to solve more of them, because they're just excellent. So anyway, stop talking and let's get going. So where do we start? So we've got German Whispers. Now, Dutch Whispers, as I said, are not quite as constraining as German Whispers. Because on a Dutch Whisper, you can place a 5. And the reason why you could place a 5 is because if you put a 5 here, let's say, you could have 4 and 9 on either side of it, or 1 and 9 on either side of it. Those are 4 away from 5. So we can't initially say that none of these digits can be a 5, which is how we had started in that other video. If you haven't seen it, go back and take a look at it. So where would be another good place to start? Well, we've got black Kropki dots. Now, black Kropki dots have a few limitations to them. First off, they can never have 5, 7, or 9. Why is that? Because you can't double or half either of those numbers and still have a normal Sudoku digit. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8, and I'm going to type them in here just to do so. Now, we know that these two digits have to have different parity to each other. And by that, I mean one is going to be high and one is going to be low. Or is it polarity? I think it's polarity. Sorry, I always mix those up. it is what it is. One of my wonderful, unique quirks. So this one, if this is a low digit, this is going to have to be a high digit because there is no 5 available to use. Now, that's also going to tell us that this one has to go back down to the low if this started as low. So low, high, low, or it's going to have to be high, low, high, like that. We can never have 2 highs on a black Kropki dot. So therefore, these cannot be high. They have to be low. So we have to get those out of here. Now we just said this now has to be high. So it's not 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's either 6 or 8. So this, if this was a 6, this would have to be from 1 or 2. And if it was 8, it could be anything. But if this is a 6 or an 8, this clearly can't be 1, 2, 6, or 8. It has to be either 3 or 4. Now, can we do anything? Okay, we can, which is interesting, and it's kind of what I thought might end up happening. And I'm going to orate for a second instead of continuing with this puzzle, just to put the next idea out there. Now, like I had mentioned previously, you can put a 5 on a Dutch whispers. When you do put a 5 on a Dutch whisper, that means you are changing the way the polarities work. So instead of it like a German whispers, you high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low across the board. In Dutch whispers, when you run into a 5, you're starting with high or low, high, low, and let's just say this was a 5. So you've got low, high, low, mid, and now you have to go high. That's the only way that would work. But as we now see here, these are both low. So there's no way I can put a 5 here, because if I did, I would have to have a low and a high. And clearly I can't put a 5 here either, because a 5 is never 4 away from a 3 or a 4. So this goes back to being high. Now, again, I've got to go back up to high. And therefore, now here is a place where I could technically transition using a 5. And I'm knowing now that I have to have a 5 in one of these, so I'm just going to mark that for a second. So I think what we're going to find, and this is just a hunch, that this Dutch whisper, I think it takes a little turn. That's my hunch. And I think it's going to do so somewhere in here. And I don't know exactly where just yet. Now, this is all conjecture, of course. Well, let me look at this. I can get rid of a 3 here, because clearly you can't put a 3 on a Kropki when there is no 6 involved with it. So we know one of these is a 2. That's a kind of a side note. So what can I do? Well, if I know there's a 5 somewhere on this Dutch whisper, I know that 5 is either paired with both the 1 and the 9, or it's paired with one of the 1 or the 9. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, if this was a 5, this would be a 1-9 pair. If this was a 5, this would be a 1-9 pair. If this was a 5 and it were the end of a Dutch whisper, let's say, I'm assuming that the Dutch whisper does that, just for reference. If this was a 5, this would be either the 1 or the 9. And then it would continue back around. Now, can we make any use of that? We have 3 high digits and we have 3 low digits. So we're going to need one more low and one more high to go along with our 5. Now, can we make that determination as to where those occur? I'm thinking yes, but you never quite know until you get into it. Now, if this was a 5, let's say, this would either be, well, if this is a 5, we know this has to be low. So then this would have to be high. So this would end up being a 9. Now, if this was a 5, we'd have our 1-9 pair here. And if this was a 5, we knew we'd have our 1-9 pair here. So what I'm trying to say is, this could never be a 9, can it? Because let's say this is a 9. This, we couldn't put a 5 in the middle because we'd have to be flanked by 1 and 9. So the 5 would have to go here. Now, we've already used our 9 up, theoretically. So if this is a 5, this would end up being the 1. And then we'd have to go back up to high. But then we have 2 highs in a row. So that rules out a 9 here. Now, does it give us any further information? Can we do the same thing with 1s, perhaps? Can we have a 1 in these, in one of these? Now we're going to rule out 5 here again. We're going to rule out a 5 here again because we have to be flanked by the 1s and the 9s. We've already used our 1. So we'd be forced to put a 5 here once again, and we'd forced to be putting a 9 here. But then we could go down to a low here, so that would work. So that does not help me as much as I thought it might. But there has to be somewhere I can put a 9 or a 1. So let's look back. If this is a 5, this is a 1. Let's just mark that. If this is a 5, this is a 1-9 pair. If this is a 5, we determined this had to be a 9. So we have, are those the only possibilities? These being 1, 5, and 9. I don't think it is. Let me just look through that again, because the 1 could be down here, right? And if it is, it forces this to be 5. This is 9, and this is either 3 or 4. So yeah, those options aren't great. So I'm going to move that so I don't confuse myself any more than I normally do. Now let's just go back and look at our normal Dutch whispers, okay? Now this has to be either 3 or 4, which means there can never be a 6 here, because you can never get 4 away from a 6. So we know now, well, what do we know now? This can't be a 4, because if it is a 4, these have to be both 8 and 9. Well, we don't have that capability, so this is not 4. If this is 4, this is an 8. This becomes 2. This becomes 7. This becomes 9. And this becomes 3. And we are therefore forced to put our 5 here, I think, and our 1 here. And then this is whatever was left over that I didn't think of. So, what am I? There's something in here I'm not quite getting at. That's going to give me a digit where I can move a little bit. Maybe I need to look at the options here. Can this ever be a 6, let's say? If it is a 6, these have to be 1, 2, which works perfectly fine. This would be the 3. These have to be 7, 8. That works perfectly fine. Well, technically, it could be 7, 9, I guess. That seems to work. And I just said if this is an 8, this is a 7. These have to be 1, 2. Well, this can't, no, this can be 4, because this could be 4, 8. Am I limited to where my 4 is? No, this can't be a 4. Because if this is a 4, this forces this to be 8, and then it forces that then to be a 4. So this is not 4. This is 1, 2 pair. There we go. That's what I was trying to dredge myself down to. So we know we've got a 1, 2 pair down here, which we can never now straddle a 5 with a 1. Because we've already used it. So this end piece, well, I don't know that, and I'm not going to make that mistake of doing it, because I do not know that this German whisper turns like this, or this Dutch whisper turns like this. Don't make mistakes. Don't make mistakes. So what do we know? We know that this is on the Dutch whisper. Now, if it is a 5, it forces this to be a 9. We don't necessarily know if the Dutch whisper continues. And I can't determine quite yet what I am being told I have to do. Okay. There's nothing else up here that I can say for certain that I see right now. These are 1 and 2. So this has to be 6 or 8. That doesn't change anything. If this is 8, it runs everything. If it's not 8, it doesn't. Okay, this is giving me a little bit more of a struggle than that first video I did, or first puzzle I did of that video. Because of the more constraints, let me have a little bit more sip of caffeine. Maybe my brain will start working a little better. So this, maybe I just need to put in my options here because it's not clicking quite right. So this is either a 5 or it's low. So it's 5, 3, or 4. Now, I cannot make assumptions that this whisper turns. I just can't do it. So if this were a 5, it would force this to be a 9. I'm just taking a quick look, see if there's anything I could see there that was going to help me, and there isn't. So therefore, I cannot make a next determination as to what this could be because I do not know whether or not it turns. Now, do I know? No, because then that doesn't rule out things that I want to be ruled out. These digits could technically be anything except for a 1 or a 2. Because we've got 6, 7, 8, 9, but it's not a triple yet. We've got 3, 4, 5, but that's not a triple yet. There's a 9 either here or in one of these two. There's a 6 either here or in one of those two. Huh. Where is the next in here? Because it seemed like it was working out logically, and now I've hit a little bit of a roadblock. If this was a 7, these would both have to be 3. That doesn't work, so let's get rid of 7. If this was an 8, these could be 3, 4. If it was a 9, like it could be any of these digits. So now I've got myself, or there has to be a 7 in one of these digits. There has to be something else here now that's looking at me and saying, stop being stupid. Now we know if these are 1 and 2, this could easily be 6 or 8. If it's 8, it forces 7, 9. Now if it forces 7, 9, that forces 5. And then we'd be able to determine what it is. But if this is 8, we have to have a 6 up here. Okay. Why am I not seeing it? What is holding me back? If this is a 4, this has to be 8, 9. And this has to be 6. There it is. Okay, I was just being a little slow. This being a 4 would guarantee 8 and 9 here. And that would make this a 6. 4 and 6 do not work together. So this has to be 3. There we go. Okay, now we're away. Apologies for my lack of understanding right there. Now we know this is 3, but that doesn't rule out any of these. So it looks like we're going to have to go back into this next section to determine what we've got. So here, we know we can't have a 6, so we can't have 3, 6. We need to be 1, 2, 4, 8. Now, if this was a 4, it would force these to be 8, 9, which works perfectly fine. If this is an 8, this can be a lot of things, right? It would have to be 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, or 4. Was there more up here that I could have done before I start moving along? 3, no, it just has to be 4 different, so. And this then has to be, so if this was a 4, this would be either 8 or 9. It wouldn't matter. If this is 8, this has to be 4, this has to be 7. So we've got, let's look down here again. So we've got either this is a low digit or it's an 8. Those are my two options, this one right here. So if it's an 8, these have to be from 1, 2, 3, or 4. This clearly can't be 1 or 2. This can't be 3. If this is from 1, 2, or 4, it could be essentially anything. It could be 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So that's just complete malarkey that I don't want to rule in or out at this moment. Now, I don't know anything about where this goes. Okay. I don't see where I could reduce this any. Well, yes, I can. This has to be, okay, I'm going to use the same things I used here. This digit, or these two digits, must straddle the line of our polarity. So if this was a 1, this would have to be a 2. A 1 and 2 are not 4 away from each other. This is 2, this would have to be a 4. 2 and 4 are not 4 away from each other. So these have to be 4 and 8. It's the only thing these could be. That forces our 7. And there we go. Okay, thank goodness. That took a little bit too much time to figure out. Now, we do know that we cannot straddle because the 5 in this line. So this has to be the end 5. This has to be our 9. This has to be 8. This is 4. That's now determined. Thank goodness. All right, and then we can't determine these yet. Now, we're going to know generally what these kind of things are, but it's not going to help me any. Now we have some reduction in what we've done. There's no clues presented themselves over here, so I'm going to go back over to here. If this is a 4, these two digits have to be from 8 and 9. Well, that doesn't work because we have to put an 8 here if that's a 4. So this has to be 8. This has to be 4. Now that this is 8, we can start putting in options here. So these have to be from 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, they're not 4. This one can't be 1 or 2, so it has to be 3. Now this has to be from 1 or 2. This has to be at least 4 away from 4, and it can't be 8, so it is 9. There we go. Logic is coming through. Now, this next to this 9 digit, the only options are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 5 already taken care of, so we've got to go down to 4. Now we've got to go back up from 4, so this has to be 8. This has to go back down from 8, so it has to be from 1, 2, or 3, which it can't be 4 because of that one. So that's what those are. This digit has to come back up. It could be 5, and in fact, it's going to have to be 5 because it can't be 6, 7, 8, or 9. So this is 5. Now, this has to then be 1. These two digits have to be from 2 and 3, and we've got a 3 here. So this is 2, this is 3, this is 1. And we are moving. These two digits, we need a 7. 7 can never go on a black Kropki dot. So there we go, 7. This is going to force this digit to be a 6, which is going to force this to be a 3. Lovely, lovely. After the slow start, we are now finally gaining traction. 5 and 6, I'm going to write these in just to put them in. 2, 7, 9. Now, this 3 tells me that these digits have to at least be 7. Can't be 8, so I'm going to remove that. So we've got 7 and 9. This Kropki dot is telling me that these can't be 3, 6, and they can't be 1, 2. So they're either from 2, 4, or 8, and we have to have at least a 4 in there. It's either 2-4 or 4-8. Clearly it can't be 2-8. Further along, this digit. Now, there's certain things we can say it could be, but we can't really pare it down a whole lot. Now, if it's a 7, it has to be from 1 or 2. We can't go to 3 because there's already 3 there. Well, let's look at this actually in 7, 9 and just say this is a 2. Get rid of these, and then we'll go back to where we were. So, if this is a 7, this has to be a 1, because we see a 2 here. If it's a 9, it can go down to 5. It can't be 4 or 3, and it can't be 2. So it's either 1 or 5. Those are our options, and we have a 5 here, so this is 1. Now, where do we keep moving? Now, the 1 doesn't necessarily give me anything. We know what these 3 digits are, so that's going to give us something. They have to be from 3, 6, and 4. As you'll see, there's a black Kropki dot here, so this has to be the 3-6 pair. This has to be 4. Now we're back on to a Dutch Whispers. These 4 means that these 2 digits have to be 8 and 9. Do we have an 8 or a 9 pointing at these yet? No, we do not. Now, could this ever be a 6? The answer is no, because you can't. 8 or 9 is not 4 away minimum from 6. So that's 3. That's 6. Okay. Got a phone call coming in. I'm not going to answer it just yet because my phone's not here. These have to be, well, there has to be a 1 in one of these. There's a 2 somewhere. Well, let's go here. This is the easy way to look at it. This has to be 8 because it can't put a 9 on a black Kropki, so that's got to be 4. So this is 9. That's going to give me 7 and 9. Okay, here we're moving still. This 4 now. We have to be at least 4 away. It can't be 8, so it has to be 9. These 2 have to be from 1, 2, 3, and 5. They cannot be 1, they cannot be 3 via Sudoku. So we've got a 2-5 pair here, which is interesting. What else can we look at? Do we have anything on these that are going to give us anything? Maybe it's just a bit of Sudoku cleanup. What about these? Let's go down here for a second just to look at these. So these have to be, well, there has to be a 5 on here somewhere. We have to have a 2. I said it couldn't be any. The 7 has to be with this. This is a 1-7 pair. That's where we're going to find a little bit of something. And this then has to be a 2-5 pair. So we can get rid of those notations. We can get rid of our 2 here. And we know what these digits in general are. They are from 2, 5, and 6. Nothing looking at them just yet. We don't have anything looking at these 5, 6s or 1, 2s as of yet. Maybe we can look at this digit. If this is a 2, this would have to at least be 6. It can't be 6 exactly. 7, 8, or 9. Now, if it's a 5, it has to be from 1 or 9. So that did a whole lot of bupkis. What about these 4 digits? We need a 4 somewhere. It can't be there, so it's got to be in one of these. 6 could be anywhere. The 7 could be anywhere. And then the 9 has to be up here somewhere. Not super helpful. We've got a 2-5 pair going on up here. That doesn't really seem to do much either. Maybe we can look at this Dutch Whisper. So what do we have? We've got, what are the options? They're 1, 3, 6, 7, and 8. So let's just take a close look at those. Now, this can't be 7, so whatever. Can we ever have a 6 on here? We can, because we could do 1, 6. The 8 could go with 1 or 3. The 7 could go with the 1 or 3. Like I said, the 6 could go with the 1. So one of these has to be low. But it could be either 1 or 3. I do not know the answer to that yet. Okay. No 6 in any of these, but this could still be 6 or either of these. Okay, maybe there's some more obvious Sudoku I can look at here to kind of clear up a little bit of a spot. Don't really see much. I mean, okay, we do actually have something. This 4s. None of these can be 4s. This is a 4. That's going to pop some things open for us and give us some clues to work with. Can we do anything else with that 4? I don't think so. This 4, this has to go up to at least 8 or 9. So we've got a 9. So this is 8. This has to, that 8 gives me 4 and 8. I'm going to plop those in there and get rid of our 4 here. This digit right here has to be 4 away from 8. So it's either 1, 2, or 3. Can't be 2 because we had that 2-5 pairing, if you'll recall. So it's either 1 or 3. Now let's go back to our Sudoku because it surprisingly gave me a little something to work with that I don't think I would have gotten elsewhere. What about 6s? Nope. 7s, I don't see a lot doing on them. How about 8s, maybe? There's quite a few 8s on this board. One of these has to be an 8. None of these are 8s. So one of these must be. Thought that might do a little bit for me than it did, but it does not. 9. There we go. 9 can't be in any of these digits. This is 9. Okay, didn't do as much good as I had originally hoped it would. One of these has to be 9. All right. Is there anything that's a given in here? We have to have, what do we have to have? The 1 could be a lot of places. The 2 and the 5 are given. 3 could be in a few places. 4 is given already. 5 we said is already there. 6 is already there. 7 is in one of these two. That's not useful. The 8, there has to be an 8 in here, so we can get rid of the 8s from here. Now, that doesn't quite get us far enough down, because we can still use that 3 to go with our 7. So, that's slightly disappointing. 9, I mean, none of these do anything right now. Can we look at one of these other clues that maybe I haven't finished using it or looked at it properly for? Let's maybe start with this digit. It could be 1 or 2. It can't be 3 or 4 or 5. It could be 6 or 7. It can't be 8 or 9. So, if it is a 7, let's say, it would force this to be from 1, 2, or 3. If it was a 6, it would have to be 1 or 2. If it was 2, it would have to be from 6, can't be 7, 8, or 9. If it was 1, it could have a 5 or a 6, so that was almost worthless. I don't know that we're going to get much out of these two either. Let's try this one first. Can't be 1. It could be 2. Can't be 3 or 4. It could be 5. It can't be 6. It could be 7. Can't be 8 or 9. So it does have a little bit of a restriction. I can, just looking, I can see a little sliver of Dutch Whisper over there. I might need to go back and look at my Sudoku here for a second. Let's finish this thought real quick. If this is a 2, this has to at least be a 6. Can't be 7 or 8. Could be 9. If it's a 5, this would have to be a 1 or a 9, excuse me. And if it's, I just want to make sure I didn't accidentally erase a digit there. And if it's a 7, it has to be from 1, 2, or 3. Yep, complete hogwash. Okay, maybe a quick dunk back into Sudoku, but I don't see that that's going to really do me much good. Just want to give it a glance to make sure. Seems like I should have something I can jump onto here, but I don't see it. Okay, so there's got to be something portraying itself out here that I can use. Now, this column is pretty good, but it's not great. Well, maybe I can use this column, because there can't be a 1 here in any of these, so one of these has to be a 1, which forces this to be a 3. This cannot be 1 or 3. Does that 3 do anything? Not really. This is from 1, 7, and 8. I'm going to write those down for now. That's not 7. So if one of these has to be 1, not super helpful. Has to be a 2 in here somewhere, and it could go anywhere. And this, I'm talking about this column once again. 3 and the 4 are already here. The 5 could be anywhere. And 6 and 7 are our other opportunities. They're not taking the cake. So, okay, well, here's something. This 3 now looks into this box. So we have to have a 3 on here, which means we cannot have a 1 and we cannot have a 6. So this is 3 and 7. So that's going to give us 1 and 7. And we know that's not 7 anymore. So we've got ourselves a 1-8 pair and a 2-5 pair, which forces this to be a 6. Good, good, good. This is not a 6. Now, we know that these are now down to 4, 7, and 9. We said this couldn't be 4. I'm going to get rid of these marcations because they're just messing things up a little bit. Now, if this was I can see this little Dutch whisper poking out here, which means that there is a line cutting across here. Now, if this was a 4, this would have to be either an 8 or a 9, but we have 8s and 9s here, so that's gone. This is the 4, and that's going to give us a little bit of opening. That's going to finish our 4 up here as well. Now, we know this is 7 or 9, so we can go back and look at this digit. Now, it can't be 1, it could be 2, it can't be 3 or 4, and it could be 5. So, blah is all I have to say with that. Maybe there's something else. Should we just continue on this one for a second? Let's do, I guess. If this is a 2, this has to at least be 6. So 6 can't be 7, can't be 8, can't be 9. If this is a 5, this has to either be a 1 or a 9. It can't be 1. So it's either a 1 or a 6. Not looking great. So let's try a different tactic. We've got a 7-9 pair here, so this can't be 9. So this is either 1, 2, 3, or 6 up here. Can I do anything with that? Now, this can't be 6, because, well, it can be 6, because that could be 2, sorry. Okay, let's move on. I feel like I've used most of these clues, so I'm going to do this one real quick, see if it turns into anything, and if it doesn't, I'll look back at Sudoku. So we've got 2, 5, or 6. If this is a 2, this has to at least be 6, but it can't be 6, it can't be 7. So it would have to be, wait, I'm missing 8 notation, so this has to just be 8, okay? I see it now. 8s are looking in here. This is Sudoku. This has to be 8, and then this has to be 2. That's going to give me my 5 and my 2, my 5 and my 2, and we should be moving now. This is 6. This cannot be 2. This can't be 1 because it has to be next to a 2, so that is 7. These have to be 1 and 5. Nothing restricting them just yet. These 2 digits have to be 1 and 2. That's going to help because these can't be 1 or 2, and this can't be 2. This now can never be 5, so it has to be 7, which forces this to be 3. That's going to give me my 9 and my 7, and my 9 and my 7. That 9 gives me my 9. This is not a 9. This has to be from 1, 2, or 5, and it cannot be 1 or 2, so it is 5. This is 1 and 5. This is 1. No, this is... Wait. Hold the horses here. I screwed something up. Let's go back. I made a mistake there. Let's just go far enough back where it shouldn't be an issue. This should be where I am. These have to be from 1 and 2. These cannot be 1, 2. This cannot be 2. This can no longer be 5, so it has to be 7. This has to be 3. Okay. This 2 tells me that this is a 1 and a 2, and this is a 5 and a 1. I'm doing it a different way just to pick up or remove myself from that original mistake. It's probably just a typo, but, you know, things happen. This has to be 5. This has to be 9 and 7. This has to be 9 and 7. 9 is forced over here. This has to be a 6, which is working now. Thank you. So I probably just typed something in wrong. This has to be 3, and that clears the rest of our fog. Wonderful. Where's... trying to see... There's got to be something. This is not 5. Where's the next step? It's probably a Sudoku thing that I already have marked out, but I'm not seeing it yet. So let's run up to... Well, this can't be 5. Oh, here we go. 2. This has to go up to 6. This has to be 5 and 6. This is either 1 or 8. Not determined. We have to have a 5 in here, so this is 5. This is 1 or 8. So we've got a 1-8 pair looking up, so we're going to have 2 and 1 and 6. And this is 2, this is 5. Now we're going to have to finish it off. As you see, we've got an X-wing. This 6 is going to tell us that this is 1 and 8 and 8 and 1. And there we go. You solved the puzzle. The solution is correct. So yeah, that was just as good as the fog or whispers in the fog that Sir Moose did. This one was a little bit trickier on my end to get started, but once it did, it rolled beautifully because the Dutch whispers had a little bit less of a constraint in the very beginning. But like I said, I know you guys enjoyed the whispers in the fog because the viewers have been good on that one. I hope you guys enjoyed this one just as much. If you do, let me know down in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff helps me greatly. And as always, I appreciate y'all, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.